What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Battle of Central Europe Season 3. This is going to be the game that we are all waiting for, Moscow 5, going up against Virtus Pro in another Best of 2 series here on the HeflaTV Hitbox 1 channel. I'm Mike Loris. I'm going to be one of your casters. I also have Grandis here with me as well, and we get to see an Ogre Magi first pick yet again.
Yeah, even though he's seen quite a bit, it's a hero that's really hard to get tired of. Generally a fairly aggressive hero early on, and even when he's not, it's always fun to watch those multicast fly and Agnum Scepter as well to add even more luck to the mix. As far as the bans, it's looking pretty par for the course, and Brewmaster, Death Prophet, Faceless Void, Razor being taken out of the pool. Both of these teams, on a good day, are pretty much on even skill level, I would say, but I don't know, Moscow 5, they just lost a game up against Mulo, and I'm not sure if they're going to be too happy about their performance today. We'll just have to see if they're going to be able to get into a fresh mindset here in this second series of the day in the Battle of Central Europe. They'll start things off with a Scarlet Mage and a Tide Hunter. You can't really go wrong with these first two picks.
Yeah, I think this is also how they opened up a previous game, so it's a pretty safe way to open up. It's pretty secure, and you said Moscow 5 just coming off of a loss. That one was a really grindy game as well, so I'm sure they're a little bit more exhausted compared to Virtus Pro, who also actually ended up in a 1-1. So, after the first series of games, this Group C or Group 3, whatever you want to call it, is looking more even than the previous groups that we've seen. But I do think Virtus Pro would be slightly favored in this matchup in general. Moscow 5, quite honestly, looked a little bit shaky in their previous games. They had a couple of good things going for them, but overall, it's just not tight enough if you're going to be going up against a powerhouse like Virtus Pro. Well, that being said, I don't know what happened in Virtus Pro's other games, so maybe they're on tilt as well. Who knows? It is going to be a Witch Doctor Ogre Magi opening for Virtus Pro, already getting quite a few stuns and eliminating a potential combination with the Tide Hunter Ravage Death Ward.
Yeah, even though it's kind of a pseudo block pick with the Witch Doctor, it works decently well with what they already have in the Ogre Magi, and although you don't have a huge AoE spell to set up for that Death Ward, just locking somebody down with a cast bouncing between two or some Fire Blast to keep them in place, it's still a pretty solid amount of damage. And I think they're going to pick it more for the sustain coming out from the Voodoo Restoration than for the Death Ward itself, but he's still just an all-around good support.
And Death Ward does get more value when you're up against zero armor heroes like Scarlet Mage, and well, it's going to be their support cast already safe and secure, and these supports, though they can be played pretty aggressively, if need be, the Witch Doctor is going to be a very defensive hero as well. Ogre Magi can do it, but generally you don't want him to. For Moscow 5, they're still looking for one more support, and I don't think they have run an Elder Titan in their previous games, but that seems to be all the rage, and it seems like a pretty decent pickup for them right now if they want to slam their other support down. Otherwise, they could start looking towards some cores. We got Viper Centaur being banned out by Moscow 5 rather, and Slark getting some hate along with a Weaver, which is actually kind of surprising. I mean, Weaver's certainly annoying to deal with, but you already have an Ogre Magi Witch Doctor for a good amount of stunning. I don't really think they have to be too concerned with that hero.
Yeah, both of these heroes are fairly elusive carries, and Virtus Pro, it seems that they're going to be picking up some fairly stun-light heroes later on, or else I don't think banning out the Weaver and Slark is really a great idea. There's still some heroes that will definitely benefit from not having a super stunning lineup, but Witch Doctor Ogre generally can handle some heroes, but as far as Weaver and Slark go, you definitely would like to have some more on top of that. Although Fire Blast is pretty reliable, Paralyzing Cast doesn't really keep Weaver and Slark in place.
Alright, so we'll see if Moscow 5 were considering any sort of slippery heroes. If they really want to, they could go for something like an Ember Spirit or a Morphling, heroes that typically do require some sort of answer in the crowd control department. And if Virtus Pro are in fact planning on going light in that area, then maybe Moscow 5 can get away with it. Or maybe even Phantom Assassin, that's a little bit more of speed for Vigos, but it's going to be an Earthshaker, previously ignored in the past couple of games. But you have Earthshaker, Scarlet Mage. That's a very solid combination. Lots of kill potential once level 6 is on the board for Scarlet Mage. And of course, you have Echo Slam, Ravage, a whole lot of wombo to your combo that Virtus Pro can interrupt if given the opportunity. But right now, Moscow 5 have most of the initiating power.
Yeah, and it's just more than anything a really solid three heroes that scale decently well through the entire game. Early game, Scarlet Mage and Earthshaker, they're going to be able to get a decent amount out of the lane, if not kills, just zoning out the offlaner and getting some pull experience. Tidehunter, similar story, mid-game team fights, and then even the late-game high ground defense and high ground pushing is pretty good for these three. For Virtus Pro, it's going to be the Puck, and as far as ultimates that combo with that Witch Doctor Death Ward left in the pool, Dreamcoil is one of the better ones.
Puck is being picked into quite a few stuns, but we've seen teams not really care about that. Really, the fact that you can jump in with a silence onto someone like a Shaker or Tidehunter is going to be your real primary goal as the Puck. If you open up like that, a Fire Blast after a coil or something like that is generally going to get you a couple of kills, especially in the early stages, and Puck you very rarely see lose lanes. There are situationally bad matchups for the Puck, like if Moscow 5 wanted to pick up a Templar Assassin or something like that right now, then they could have a decent lane versus the Puck, or if they wanted to go really deep, you pick up an OD, although I don't think that's really that much of a possibility for Moscow 5. Puck is just going to be a nuisance for M5. Even though they may have quite a few stuns, they have to make sure that they land those stuns correctly. It's going to be a gyro for them, actually, so it's going to get a little bit of early game power on the board with as far as carry heroes go, one of, if not the hardest hitting ones in the early game.
Yeah, Rocket Barrage, when you have the CC to back up that pick, is pretty ridiculous if you're able to isolate whoever the offlaner is with the Scarlet Mage and Earthshaker. But for Virtus Pro, it's going to be a Necrophos for them, potentially as their safe lane farmer, maybe even as a mid.
It's an interesting pickup for sure. They are pretty heavy in the magic damage department, and it's a hero that I thought, who was it, Moscow 5 would have gone for in the last game, but instead they decided to go for a Siren. It looks like Siren probably isn't going to be picked up this game, although for Virtus Pro it is still a possibility. It is kind of unlikely, I want to say. With the Necrophos, you generally don't want to have both of them, although it can work out decently if the need arises for it. Necrophos is going to have a decent time in this game. Again, he really doesn't like going up against burst damage. That's where Scarlet Mage and Gyrocopter are really going to shine. And Necrophos, as far as burst damage on his own team, is relatively limited. I actually think a Legion Commander would be a pretty good pickup for both sides right here. The press the attack would be huge value.
Definitely purging off like an Earthshaker stun, Ogre Magi stun, it would be really nice for them. The Templar Assassin's taken off of the pitch for Virtus Pro, potentially flagging that they want to pick up a different offlaner than that Puck and have Puck in the mid spot, as Templar Assassin traditionally one of the better heroes laning in mid up against aforementioned Fairy Dragon. For Moscow 5, they probably are looking for that mid position hero, unless for some reason they decide to go for a Gyrocopter mid. What's left in the pool and what do they actually need? I think they could go for pretty much whatever they want, as the other four heroes are just so well rounded in their ability to fight throughout the game. They could go an angle for pretty much any point that they want to capitalize onto.
Yeah, if they want to keep it a little bit more aggressive, they have quite a bit of stunning, so maybe going for something along the lines of Invoker would be pretty nice. We've seen Wind Ranger being picked up, so maybe they want to go for something along those lines. Really, Moscow 5 can go for pretty much whatever mid hero they want, as versus Puck versus Necrophos, these are decent heroes in the mid lane. They usually don't absolutely crush it, though, so you could probably get away with a little bit even more of a greedy mid hero if you really want to in something like a Magnus. It would be pretty nice to have Empower on the Gyrocopter, but I don't really know if that's going to be the line they want to walk down. It's not going to have much time left, and it's going to be a Silencer pickup for M5. Doesn't really tell us that much, as Silencer can pretty much go anywhere. Right now we have pretty much a juggling act between Silencer, Shaker, and Scarlet Mage. One of them is going to be played core. I hope it's Silencer, but who knows? We might see something a little bit different.
No, I mean, it's also not a bad option to throw Scarlet Mage mid versus the Puck, have Silencer and Earthshaker as just defensive supports for the Gyro, and then have Scarlet Mage roam to the lanes, and they'll still have a decent amount of killing potential, even if they decide to go for the Silencer support. But I am favoring either throwing Silencer mid or to the safe lane. For Virtus Pro, they're still lacking one of their cores, and what it may be is still up for grabs. They have a decent amount of flexibility in their cores as well as to where they're actually going to shake down. It's presumed that Puck is going to be in a solo lane and that Necrophos is going to be farming in a lane, but in which one is still missing any clarity. The Silencer might have worked decently well for Virtus Pro, though would have been a very squishy lineup prone to the teamfight combo. Just having a reset button or some way to delay the combination of spells coming out from Moscow 5 would be really useful for them. The Naga Siren, although it's greedy, it might work out for them, just having that Song of the Siren to reset after a Tidehunter Ravage or something along those lines.
Yeah, I actually like the Naga Siren a little bit more here. I was going to say, at the very least, it should be someone who is going to plan on picking up a BKB, as up against all these silences and all these massive AoE team fight effects. A BKB is going to be of the utmost importance for whoever the last hero is going to be, and Lycan is one of those heroes. He's also going to most likely pick up a Necro Book, so it's also going to have a way of punishing Moscow 5 for throwing around random AoE and Echo Slams, the Ravages, and the Calldowns. Someone is probably going to pop a melee Necro unit, and that really hurts. So Lycan, although Virtus Pro don't really have a real quote-unquote pushing comp, it is actually a decent hero in countering what Moscow 5 have picked up. So, you know, generally I don't like Lycan. It kind of thrown in randomly in these situations. I think he works very well against what Moscow 5 have.
Yeah, for now, on the Radiant side, we are going to have Virtus Pro Polar with Sidoi TPing very early to the tower in order to place out his ward. And he should be able to secure that. He's going to be on the offlane puck. In mid, we're probably going to have the Lycan played by G. And on the safe lane, tri-lane, Jotum going to be playing in the Witch Doctor. The other support going to be Ogre, played by Yol. Leaving last but not least, Necrophos by BZZ.
Yeah, under the 6-3-3 tag, which I don't know how that translates to BZZ, but who cares about that. Blow Your Brain on Moscow 5 is going to be playing the Tidehunter offlane with a crap ton of regen and a little bit of gold being held just in case. King R is going to be supporting as the Skywrath Mage, and, well, it looks like Unstable is also going to be supporting as the Silencer. Top lane, that leaves Tron and the Gyro, and, of course, the Earthshaker is going to be played by the V-God himself. Earthshaker mid versus any one of the heroes that VP have. It looks like it is going to be the Lycan. Is actually not terrible for the Earthshaker. I mean, it could certainly be much worse. It could certainly be a lot better, but Lycan is generally not a hero that completely crushes his lane. And in a melee versus melee matchup, this is pretty much the best case scenario that Vigos could have hoped for.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Earthshaker in mid, his weakest stage is that early laning stage. Once you get to Blink Dagger, those early levels really help the hero do a whole truck ton of damage, both magical and physical, with the enchant totem hits. But currently we're going to see a little bit of a jump onto the Skywrath Mage, tagged by the Ignite. They don't have enough damage to chase him under tower. King R is surviving, mostly because he's just a really fast hero.
You get a little bit of howl damage early on, you can make a lot of things happen, especially when you're working with the already high base damage of Witch Doctor and Ogre Magi combined. If they had Ignite, maybe things would have gone a little bit differently. Blow Your Brain also getting roughed up quite a bit. I think just getting into a fist fight with Necrophos, Heartstopper Aura, against the rather tanky Tidehunter, providing some serious value. So already, just from minute 0, it's going to be a couple of restoratives forced out from Moscow 5, using, I think, 2 tangos probably. So not exactly the cleanest of starts, but it is not going to matter too much in the long run, as Tidehunter definitely has regeneration to spare. We are seeing the mid lane for now for Moscow 5. It is a pseudo dual lane. I don't think King R is going to stick in this lane. Just wants to give the Shaker a little bit of an early start, but the Ogre Magi is also in the area, and it might actually come down to a brawl. Here comes Yol, is going to start fighting up against Vigos. The creep aggro is there onto the Ogre, though, so I don't think it's going to be resulting into much, but Ogre has boots first, and this is a pretty aggressive opening build for an Ogre Magi.
Yeah, it's one of the heroes that I like seeing boots first on more than most, but King R is chilling here, and it looks like he wants to dump the entirety of his mana pool into G, and it's being really annoying for him, although the Lycan's still farming better than the Earthshaker. Under tower, now Vigos will be able to remedy that a little bit, but it is pretty much just a straight-up dual lane, at least for the first minute of this game.
It's also kind of a dual lane. VP are doing the exact same thing with the Ogre Magi, though. Can't really poke as actively. Blow Your Brain on the off lane, as well as Puck in the off lane, both not really getting too much. Level 1, level 2, it's a minor difference here and there, but I don't expect the off lane heroes to have the best of times. Puck shouldn't be dying on this top lane. Silencer literally has no disables, and oh, Yol chasing down a courier. That was a courier with a bottle. I think he just won the mid lane for that Lycan right now, as Earthshaker already is going to be in not for the best of shape, but without a bottle, there is really no hope for him for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, there's really not, and Yol with those boots first, and a double damage that melee heroes get onto those couriers is crucial to get that, and I don't know, it's nice positioning coming out from the Ogre, and I think it's more a misplay coming out from Moscow 5. The Ogre Magi was sitting mid, he hadn't showed himself for quite some time. They should have been a little bit more diligent, but either way, Yol doing wonders for that mid lane, now making his way towards top. It is just a gyrocopter farming up against a Puck, pretty easy there. Silencer is there to offer a little bit of harass, but not doing all that much, just getting some experience here or there. Ogre Magi still hasn't shown his face, and it's only level 1 on the Ogre, but that amount of gold, especially at this point, is going to be important for pretty much everybody on VP, especially the Lycan, getting that bottle denied away from Vigos.
This is such a sneaky ogre. He's looking for a jump in, but you don't really want to fight Tron at level 1. The gyrocopter can put out so much damage with level 1 rocket barrage, and Puck already used the orb, so can't really help out much in that regard. Yol, he's pulling a little bit of experience for himself off of the pull, and he will get ace creep kill, killing off the small hell bear, but killing off unstable here is very unlikely, as they need another support hero, but the other support hero unfortunately has his hands full with dealing with the Tidehunter down bottom. Eventually BZZ is going to have enough of a lead over Blow Your Brain that he's going to be just fine all by himself, but until that happens, he's going to, for the most part, be working with the dual lane, and Tidehunter's not going to get anything because of it, but at the same time, the Ogre Magi isn't either. He's up there with Seedor up on top. He can't really do anything here. I mean, he might be able to Fire Blast the Gyrocopter, but I seriously doubt they have enough to actually kill him off. Even though Gyrocopter is going for the kind of flavor of the month missile build, I mean, he will be able to put out so much damage if you get close with Rocket Barrage. Even though Ogre is very tanky, he's not that tanky. And now Yol, he's going to hit with Concussive and a lot of damage as well. At the same time, Puck is dueling up against Tron, taking a little bit of damage, but dealing a little bit more. Top lane, a couple hits being traded back and forth, but it looks like no casualties just yet.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't expect very many casualties. Down towards bottom, Blow Your Brain's eating quite a bit of damage, walks up to the creep wave, gets an Anchor Smash and a BZZ, and one right click. Blow Your Brain should be just fine, gushes up John both. No tower aggro going the way of the Witch Doctor, a couple of heals from the Necrophos. They'll both be completely fine, and Blow Your Brain's probably going to be forced all the way back to base. At the very most, he can hope to soak some experience.
This Tidehunter is probably not in too much trouble, even though the Necrophos has gone for probably the most aggressive build you could go for. Oh, yo, looking for another courier snipe. He needs one more hit. Okay, 1 is fine, but 2 is just outrageous. He might still get this courier after all. Yol is being super aggressive as this ogre. It's going to be Vigos finally getting his bottle. 4-minute bottle is not the timing you really want, and even then, Yol is going to be messing with him just a little bit, but the courier gets to live for now. The downside of this build for BZZ on the bottom lane, Necrophos, is that he will not be able to land as many death pulses as he really would like. However, I don't think that's really relevant. He's going to turn on his Ring of Basilius, and this tower is going to take a very early fall. Witch Doctor Necrophos, not exactly pushing heroes, but with pretty much no response from the enemy team, you can do whatever you want. Tower down in favor of Necrophos.
Yeah. I don't like the choice of Necrophos to go for this aggressive of a build. I think sacrificing Sadist for Heartstopper is a little too difficult, but they are going to get a Fissure onto Yol behind the tower, and maybe this Ogre's bit off more than he can chew. Going to eat that last word damage. Not going to be fatal, or will. That is level 2 into the last word. I underestimated that damage. 200 was just enough to kill off the Ogre.
Last word as far as nukes go is one of the harder hitting spells, so there's that to consider. G is going to shapeshift just right in the face of Vigos. Has unstable to worry about. No, he's going to chase down a courier. He's going to get it. That's 2 couriers in favor of VP, and you know, ordinarily losing first blood is never something that you're going to be too happy about, but I would say 2 couriers vastly outweigh first blood gold, and those 2 couriers going to give the Necrophos a pre-6-minute Hand of Midas. This is actually working out very well for VP, just because they are going so very aggressively into the poor courier.
Yeah. Gyrocopter does have phase boots Basilius, but he's not farming at the same rate as Necrophos is, even with just the CS. It's 42 and 13 on the Necro, and only 26 and 12 on Tron, which is fairly surprising. The Puck isn't really doing much. Tron is going to avoid a Fire Blast just by juking into the Fog of War, but this missile build isn't really accomplishing much for the Gyrocopter. They will throw a concussive shot, wave the Puck, it's going to be disjointed. Now King are taking a little bit too much damage. Yol is going to eat the entirety of that missile. Now a call down with the last word. That's going to be the death of the Ogre Magi, losing a little bit more intelligence.
Man, that's already 2 stacks of int for the Silencer. Not the most at this stage for sure, but considering how passive it has kind of been for Virtus Pro, they've been losing a little bit more intelligence than they really would like. And Ogre Magi, he is a decent hero for intelligence. Like, he has a decent amount of int, but he's really strapped for mana. Already at 195 after losing 4, he's not going to be able to cast off all his skills as reliably as he really would like, especially since he's gone for Tranquil Boots. Soul Ring still a little bit a ways away, and Ogre Magi is going to struggle to get that mana in order to cast those spells. He's looking for Vigos over towards mid. Yol with the Tranquil Boots is going to close the distance pretty quickly, but definitely not fast enough. Vigos is going to survive for a little while longer. 30 for 6 versus the 38 for 5. The lane is progressing pretty much as planned, although Vigos is doing a lot better considering he got his courier sniped twice.
Yeah, and now I think for Vigos it's just going to be a straight up Blink Dagger rush for him, even without upgrading the boots. I think that would be the most effective way to use this item build, or he will be maxing out the Fissure instead of going for the enchantment. So the physical damage isn't that much. Fire Blast as well as Ignite mid is all that the Ogre can throw, and that shouldn't be enough to kill off Vigas, even with some wolves tailing him. He'll be able to survive, but forced out of the lane nonetheless.
Well, VP looks like they want to play this a little bit slower with such a Hand of Midas, such an early Hand of Midas for the Necrophos. It could be a little bit risky going up against a Gyrocopter, but for right now, their Lycan is getting free farm, their Necrophos is getting free farm. Yeah, their Puck is not having the best of times, but he's going to get potentially a kill with the help of King R. Going to grab a regen rune as well. King R not going to get ignited just yet. Looks like they're going to hold the mana and kill off the Skywrath Mage even without it. So Yol's being a little bit economical with his usage of mana. It's going to be a kill regardless. It's going to be Lycan snagging that one. Now going to try to go for this tower destruction. Teleportation back in from Vigas is going to put a brick wall in front of that Lycan, but still, it's another kill, and it's a much-needed kill for the Puck. He's kind of falling behind, especially when you compare him to the other heroes on VP, and any sort of hero kill you can get is going to get you that much closer to the Blink Dagger and the Coil, which is, of course, going to come sooner.
Yeah. When you compare it to the Tidehunter, it's about the same, but there's a Fire Blast as well as Ignite onto Vigas. He is going to be pursued. There's an Illusory Orb to bounce through, but no jaunt to that from the Puck. He'll be able to survive off on the right side. It's going to be Arcane Boots for Earthshaker, and in mid, I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of this. Blink on Earthshaker is pretty huge, but is it enough? Seedoy only has one spell to use, and that one spell is going to be Phase Shift, getting out of the damage as well from that last word. Silence up again, Arcane Bolt, Curse. Now on to Seedoy. He's not going to die to this, although he is going to be forced out. Silences for some reason, has a regeneration. Now Lycanthrope in his ultimate form. There's going to be a call down, but it might be King R to fall first. Echo Slam as well as the Enchant Totem. Silence on the Lycanthrope. He's going to die, but not before killing off the Skywrath Mage. Going to be 1-for-1 trade, and a lot of ultimates spent either way. Vigas now being pursued by the Wolves. They're about to time out, so nothing else is going to happen. Although Paralyzing Cast, bouncing back and forth from the Gyrocopter, goes up to the creeps on the high ground, unfortunately, but Vigas is still going to lose his life.
That was the worst luck of the cast ever, and now that kill actually gave Seedoy enough for a coil. It's going to stall up the Gyrocopter just a little while longer, but he has phase boots. He's going to be able to walk his way out of there. Even though Lycan did go down, at least Virtus Pro get a couple of kills in response. However, that is even more intelligence that is going to be stolen by the Silencer, and Lycan is definitely not a hero that could spare the intelligence, although he doesn't really need that much of it. It's still going to be decent enough for VP just because they have a Hand of Midas working on the bottom lane on Necrophos, and yeah, the Tidehunter's been farming all the while as well, up to 1,000 gold. Maybe he himself can get some Arcane Boots, but this Necrophos is not being stopped at all. And as far as heroes you want to stop, Necrophos isn't necessarily on the top of the list, but with the Hand of Midas, he certainly should be a high priority for Moscow 5, and well, getting kills on God certainly is going to be nice, but not going to really be comparable to any pressure on Necrophos, because he is going for what looks like a Rod of Atos, and I think that is my favorite build on Necrophos. It just gives your team so much utility.
Yeah, similar utility to the Blink Dagger, but a little bit of extra tank damage. I do like it as well. And he's going to have a pretty good timing to top it all off, and the Midas isn't going to slow down his effectiveness this game at all. Currently, about 2,000 gold on top of the Gyrocopter when it comes to net worth, and that's the Midas right there. Silence onto Yol, going to the Arcane Bolt as well as Guy's Concussion Shot. Fissure to block him off. Doesn't get the block, but the stun's plenty in order to get Tidehunter in range for an Anchor Smash. They'll be able to get a kill on the Ogre, who's looking for some aggressive wards.
Ogre is now officially dumb as bricks. He has gotten 4 levels worth of intelligence growth, but he's also died, I believe, 3 times in range of the Silencer, so he is not wielding too much intelligence. He's gotten a little bit since last time. They're going to drop a Death Ward, Coil, Tron up on top, though. Getting a Gyrocopter kill at any stage in the game is going to be fantastic for VP. It's at the cost of the Ogre, but, you know, still, slowing down Gyrocopter is going to be all of a necessity, and still they have double Hands of Midases, so this isn't like a kill to race Moscow 5 for farm, it's just buying more space for Virtus Pro to get slowly more and more items up. As long as Yol just stops dying to the Silencer, they should be fine in a couple of minutes. They're going to go on the hunt, Necrophos and Ogre both. They are going to run into the Silencer, and now it's some sweet vengeance for Yol. Scythe is going to put the Silencer out of commission for an outrageous 50 seconds. Fissure's going to block Yol, but it's not going to do any damage. It's going to buy time for the Tidehunter to arrive. He has a Ravage and should be committing it onto 2, although Yol's just going to be beaten down. Thankfully for him, he's not going to lose any int here, and here comes God. He's going to run straight into a Ravage. Still Boy Brain on the front lines is going to have to book it. Here comes the call down, though, and Echo Slam going to drop the Necrophos fairly low, and he might be going down here. One more pulse, not quite going to beat up, but Gyrocopter with the Flat Cannon actually picks off God in the back end. The Lycan literally did nothing there except run in and die. In the meantime, top, they're going to be hunting down for King R. Jodam and Seedoy are going to take that kill down, but losing your 2 cores for VP, that was as bad as it could possibly be.
Yeah, they had some pretty questionable positioning, not deciding whether they really want to commit to that fight or not. It is going to be a very convincing win towards Moscow 5. Propelling the Earthshaker towards his Blink Dagger almost has it. He can taste it. Less than 100 gold until he has that item. But speaking of Blinks, we now have one on Puck. So not all is bad for VP. Satoi's able to get some out of that engagement, especially since he was involved in the kill up top. But they need to be so careful. He's going to run into a Gyrocopter already at about half HP. The barrage of nukes, a Dream Coil, one auto attack, two auto attacks, going to be the end of Gyrocopter's life, and Puck will be able to make a clean retreat with his Blink Dagger as well as that haste stream previously picked up. It's going to be a freebie going the way of Virtus Pro.
That being said, we might have another freebie going the way of Moscow 5, and it's again on the poor Ogre Magi. Stop. He can't afford to lose any more intelligence here. This is going to be... Oh, well, yep, more intelligence. Poor Ogre, man. This is the worst or not, like, he's not performing poorly, but, like, the worst circumstances I've ever seen an Ogre be in. Silencer now with plus 10 intelligence. He doesn't really have that many levels, so he's not hitting too hard, but still... He's going to provide so much benefit to his team just by reducing the mana pool of that Ogre. Now back down to 234. Poor guy.
Yeah, he can actually get off his 2 spells and that's it. With Soul Ring, he might be able to get off one more Fire Blast and maybe some Bloodlust here or there, but yeah, Ogre is just having a really tough time. If an Aghanim Scepter comes out, it doesn't matter how large your mana pool is, since they'll always be able to get off a stun, but currently up top, some TPs, one's going to be cancelled, however, and nobody's actually going to engage into that, as G's able to run away inside his wolf form.
He does have Vlad's Midas, so going for a Roshan, trying to sneak it, is potentially possible. It's going to be BZZ going for King R down the bottom lane. Silence of Fissure going to slow him down quite a bit. There is no Mystic Flare just yet. The Enchant Totem going to do quite a bit of damage to the Necrophos, but he does have Pulses, does have actually Unstable to worry about. It's going to be BZZ trying to suicide kill for King R, but he will not be able to make it out. Even more intelligence for the Silencer. Necrophos dying awkwardly alone, kind of in no man's land. Maybe if he got a Sadist kill there, he could have gotten enough regen to survive, but it seemed unlikely. Vigos waiting for an Echo Slam is going to drop it straight onto Jotem. There's 1 stun. There's 2 stun with the Fissure and the Enchant Totem. It's another free kill for the Shakers. Now, Moscow 5 have taken a kill lead in this game.
Yeah, Vigos, after somewhat of a slow start, is starting to pick up quite a bit of momentum. They now are running with a Midas of their own. It's kind of the same thing we saw last game with the support Silencer. Now going to be transitioning into some pretty heavy-hitting items of his own, the Aghanim Scepter, presumably. Tidehunter's Blink still quite a far ways away, but Vigos is making enough space to where Gyrocopter is able to pick up something, although it's not as much as Virtus Pro. Even though Necrophos and Lycanthrope have been getting picked off here and there, they're farming a lot more, and although it is aggressive and very risky farm, it seems to be paying off for them, especially since they're running with the Midases.
Speaking of, Yul and BZZ going to try to kill off Bullier Brain. Scythe is going to be there, will not be lethal, so Tidehunter is going to have enough time to get off his Ravage. They are going to just turn things around, kill off the Tidehunter though. Puck is going to get that kill. Now trying to go chase forward for King R. BZZ looks like he is going to be dropping as well. More intelligence for Silencer. Actually, no, he's just a little bit out of range, but Seedoy is most certainly going to die here. That's going to be stolen. Double kill for Tron in a 2-for-3 trade. They just fell short in the damage department. If the Necrophos, actually that was a level 2 Scythe, never mind. That's really the problem I was saying before. They will not have that much damage to put into a Scythe to really drop them below kill range. And not only did they not get the kill with the Scythe, but they let the Tidehunter get a Ravage thereafter. So, the very slippery situation for VP, and it ended up very poorly for them. If they got the kill on the Tidehunter, it would have been down for like another minute. It would have been good times for VP, but alas, that was not to be.
Yeah. Fortunately enough for them, they didn't lose intelligence for all of those kills, but it's still going to be 3 pretty clean ones going the way of Moscow 5. Ravage used to great effect, even though it ends up costing Bullier Brain his life. It's definitely still worth it. But now Lycan, he has his Necronomicon 1, and that's soon to be upgraded as well, since he hasn't been involved in the last couple of engagements, and has just been farming up a storm inside his own and enemy jungle.
And once the Necro 3 comes out, then God is going to be able to at least contribute something to his team. 2-2-1. Hasn't really been holding much influence on this game. He's on top of the last hit chart. He's on top of the net worth chart. So he's certainly holding on to a lot of dough, but all that money doesn't actually mean anything if you can't actually do anything with it. He needs a BKB after that Necro 3 as well, else he's just going to get demolished by random magic damage flying every which way. So, it's still Virtus Pro Polar. No, my God. Just Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro Polar was yesterday. It's still Virtus Pro holding on to a pretty nice gold situation right now, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel like things are going that great for them. They need to actually take a good fight and show that this gold lead actually means something.
Yeah, and I think that's fair right now. even though yeah, Virtus Pro are sitting on the lead, I think they're okay with that, is even though Gyrocopter has really good scaling in the late game, as is the Silencer, they're not in any immediate danger, but yes, they do need to start looking for more of those map objectives. Although Lycan's been able to find a lot of farm in lane and in his own jungle, his pressure he's put on the towers is fairly limited. I mean, bottom tier 2 is almost taken, so maybe I retract that statement, but it would be really nice for them to get that extra bit of gold and put some pressure onto the enemy side of the base. Atos up top on the Gyrocopter. Echo Slam, however, returned onto BZZ. Enchant Totem, Global Silence, Necrophos can get off nothing, and he's going to fall. Yol trying to TP out, he's going to die as well. Silencer not in range for some extra intelligence, lucky enough for the Ogre, but it's still another 2 kills going the way of Moscow 5. Global Silence pretty much ensuring that Necrophos dies, relies very heavily on that Death Pulse.
And they have Ravage still available as well. Jodam is going to try to make a retreat, however, walled off now by Vigos. The only chance for Witch Doctor to live is if he straight TPs, but Enchant Totem is going to interrupt that. It's going to be another casualty for VP. Notch another one for Moscow 5, now holding a 6-kill lead in this game. You know, you can have all the hands and Midases in the world that you could possibly want, but gold is clearly not doing that much for them. Moscow 5 demolished VP with their series of ultimates. Tron on the run from Wolves and Puck, but you know, even Coil is going to be dropped for this one. He's going to straight TP out, and actually Yule Scepter up on Seedoy is going to interrupt that one. Tron's still in quite a bit of trouble. He's going to try to turn and fight. It's going to be close. Seedoy does get the kill, and he will make a clean retreat. Gyrocopter, the casualty there, which is probably the worst thing to happen for Moscow 5, quite honestly. Like, he's doing decently, but he's not going to be able to man fight up against a Lycan once BKB comes up.
Yeah, and honestly, Gyrocopter just needs more damage in order to do so, and Satanic, theoretically, he just needs more in the end. And Lycanthrope now with his entire creep army online, Necrobook 3, as well as those wolves, he's going to be doing so much damage inside these team fights. If he actually does join them, 2-2-2 on the Lycan, can't say that God's really been that active.
Well, he might look for an opening right now. He's joined with Yol and Jodam, and he is going to actually be spotted just by a place observer ward from the Dire, so maybe they're going to try to bait M5 into a Roche Pit fight, but they're still fighting up against Ravage VP, and I don't know if I would like those odds if I was on the VP side. Any Roshan fight with a Ravage in it is usually going to go the way of the team with the Ravage, unless they just take Roshan before that's even relevant, and Roshan is dropping really damn quickly. M5, they are going to throw a couple of fissures, have an Echo Slam in 6 seconds, but that's going to be way too late. Seedoy's going to open up the fight first. Roshan's going to drop, Lycan grabs the Aegis, and it looks like a clean retreat from everyone from VP. Moscow 5, we're not expecting that Roshan to drop that quickly, and with level 4 Howl and Lycan having the items that he has, you could feasibly take that Roshan even quicker down the line, of course, for VP, but it's a miscalculation, I suppose, for Moscow 5. If they had a couple more seconds, a Blink Echo Slam could have swung that fight, or at least started a fight.
Yeah, and although Moscow 5 theoretically have really good AoE teamfight, we haven't really seen them chain everything together like Ravage and Echo Slam with the call down on top of it all. The Earthshaker has mostly been using Echo Slams for solo pickoffs, which is fine up until this point, but now I think they need to start saving them. Currently, Virtus Pro, they're just coming up with such a large amount of lead in these items, and Lycan's going to get almost unmanageable in mid. They will fissure him up. He does have an Aegis and a Shapeshift as well, so it's unlikely they'll be able to kill him off, and he's going to be able to make it back under his tower as well. All of the ultimates are available for Moscow 5, so it's not very clear that Virtus Pro want to take any initiations right now. They will take a tier 2 tower down in bottom, but it was already down to about 100 health anyway.
Well, BZZ is actually going to stick around for a little bit longer than he really should. Tidehunter actually already used his blink to get closer to this one, so BZZ might have a free pass out of this situation, and it looks like he will in fact survive. Using the Rod of Atos for what seems like the first time in this game, it's going to be the Gyrocopter up towards top to be in the most trouble. Teleportation coming in, but Vigos is there for the turnaround with a Global Silence. Tron not taking any damage, in fact, now going to turn things around onto BZZ, who's taking so much damage. He's going to lay the scythe down onto Tron, not going to be lethal. The Death Ward is going to be channeled from Jodam. Will it be enough to kill off the Gyrocopter? BKB does nothing, but the Gyrocopter will survive anyway. My god, the Moscow 5 ultimates are vicious. G, in the meantime, is going to take down a tier 2 tower, so at least they get something off of this, but still, that was very expensive. Actually, they might kill Boiler Brain. G's still at the max movement speed. He's going to chase forward for the Tidehunter, just falls short. 70 HP, the Necro units can't make it happen. Now the teleport back from King R is going to lay Mystic Flare into that Lycan with the missile following him as well. Not quite going to be lethal, but it's going to put a lot of damage onto him. Moscow 5, they're all banged up. They don't have their ultimates, except for the Tidehunter, who's had his Ravage for like the entire game. But still, they get a huge win in those series of events. And Vigos might actually find a Courier right now as well. Oh my god, insult to injury. What did the Courier have? It was a point booster for Yul, and quite honestly, Yul needs the mana, so he's going to be very unhappy about that. Actually, Vigos even going to move forward, snags the Aegis out from the Lycan, and then makes a clean retreat. Vigos has really got to calm down. He's just doing so much for his team right now.
Definitely. No, 2,800 gold on the Earthshaker. He could be going for pretty much whatever he wants. Honestly, this game, more than most, Aghanim Scepter is looking pretty attractive because of the Lycanthrope and his creep army. Those Echo Slams, or that Echo Slam in the last fight, rather, was just so crucial. And they were able to clean up pretty much everything. The Panic BKB from the Gyrocopter was a little bit awkward coming out from Tron, but he still survives throughout all of that and now has enough money to pick up his Helm of the Dominator, start stacking up some Ancients, and from here on out, it's the Gyrocopter transition and some pretty major damage.
And that's something that really Moscow 5 haven't been working with as of yet, lots of physical damage. It's mostly just been their spell combinations that have been keeping them afloat so far in this game, and make no mistake, it's been working very well, and it will continue to work very well until VP get BKBs, pipes, items along those lines, and it doesn't look like, well, aside from the Lycan, that's really in the pipeline for anyone else on VP. Actually, no, Necrophos has it as well, so, you know, the BKBs are certainly going to be helpful, but we've seen how convincingly Moscow 5 have taken these fights. Now that they have to worry about Earthshaker physical damage and Gyrocopter physical damage, even though the ultimates might not outright kill those BKB holders, Moscow 5 have enough in order to finish them off, assuming, of course, the ultimates get kills on other people, and I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah, it definitely is. We're in a bit of a passive state in the game where neither team is really in any rush to push on the enemy side of the map, but one of the biggest things for Moscow 5 right now is that they're running with all of their tier 1 towers down to 2 tier 2s, and they're still being able to take these fights pretty convincingly. The towers on the enemy side of the map is gold in the bank for Moscow 5 eventually to take.
With the Lycan, you kind of would expect that situation to arise, just, you know, having that additional pushing power with your Wolves, with the Howl, with, of course, the Necro Book that hasn't pushed a tower just yet, except for one on mid. The tower and pushing power is going to be in favor of VP, and there's really nothing that Moscow 5 can do about that, except for take fights when VP are pushing, and, well, clearly that has been happening, and it's been working out pretty well for them. It looks like VP are going to set up for another fight now. Tron and pop BKB, going to go straight for BZZ with the Ravage being committed. Call down is going to land on absolutely, literally nothing, but they get the kill on Necrophos regardless. That is going to be 2 ultimates and a BKB used, and maybe they're going to get a little bit more. They're going to find God, chain stun him within the Mystic Flare, Echo Slam as well. He's going to survive all of that, but he will go down in the end. Stolen by the Silencer. Now Jodam is going to try to make his TP out. Can they stun him with anything? No, they can't. Witch Doctor barely escapes, but once again, it's VP losing their 2 cores, and it just keeps happening like this. The only 2 heroes that they lose constantly going to be the Lycan and Necrophos, who are still on the top of the net worth chart, but clearly it's not doing that much for them. Vigos going to open up onto Yul in the mid lane as well. Has a little bit of help from the Tidehunter. Needs the Force Staff to get a little bit closer. Gush is there, but it looks like they won't chase this one forward. Moscow 5 take yet another huge victory, and it looks like they won't lose anyone, although Vigos going to get thrown up into the air. Cedo is there, going to meet him with a silence, coil, and orb, but Vigos is rather tanky at this stage with the point booster. Cedo is off to the side. Blink forward from Earthshaker is going to end up breaking the coil, so that happened. And then he's stuck on the high ground, so that also happened. Cedo is right there, but it might be bait because Bloyer Brain is going to protect the Earthshaker as best he can. No, Earthshaker stuck in the corner is going to go down, but it's going to be King R to get the kill on Puck in the end. Even more int for the Silencer. 12-21, I think VP, they should back out right now. Only Ogre and the Witch Doctor to fight right now, and the concussive shot will ward them away. Gyrocopter, meantime, takes top tower, and he will get out from under G. It's a whole series of events, every single event benefiting Moscow 5.
Except for Vigos dying when he was sitting on almost enough gold for his Aghanim Scepter. Isn't able to complete that up and loses about 500. He probably could have spam bought it before he died, but I don't know. It's up to personal preference whether you actually want to do that to, I don't know, save your bank. But yeah, Vigos is going to be back up, and that Aghanim Scepter is going to come up pretty shortly, and sooner rather than later, this Gyrocopter is going to start breaching some pretty crucial territory over Virtus Pro, as the only one overtaking him inside the net worth department is the Lycanthrope, and although Lycan is scary, his items aren't as directly threatening as a Gyrocopter inside the team fight. Once we have like a Monkey King Bar on the Gyro, the damage boost coming out from Moscow 5 is going to be a lot greater than like the BKB or Necrobook on Lycan. However, up top, Tron is being stalked and getting collapsed upon by BZZ, scouted up by the Lycan Wolves, and I think Tron is dead unless he's super fast on his fingers. Gets the BKB off, and with the ultimate coming out from the silencer, they're going to start turning, but the physical damage coming out from God is pretty strong, as now Tron's chased down by the Necro Army, and a very crazy Wolf. Ultimate from the Necropose is going to do him in. Dead for 100 seconds. Buyback forced out. Unstable is now probably going to fall. Just the Necro Army, but on the back lines, 2-man Echo Slam. They'll be able to obliterate the Witch Doctor. Now still trying to chase down BZZ. There is a 4-man Dream Coil, followed by a 3-man Ravage as BZZ blinks in that. He's still surviving, however, as the Coil Snap as well as the Lycanthrope will kill off the Skarath Mage. You'll Scepter onto Vigas, drop down to the ground into the Angry Wolf, and that's going to be the end of his life. Puck is pursuing a little bit more than Luthor, but won't John to it. A convincing teamfight win for Virtus Pro.
Man, it's about time they got a team fight that actually happened to go their way. BKBs on the Lycan and Necrophos, brick walling that Gyrocopter, and even with the most amazing Echo Slam you could possibly ask for with the Earthshaker, the sustain from VP, just enough with the Witch Doctor giving his life throughout all of that, with the Voodoo Restoration, of course, BZZ doing a very similar thing. Now they're going to very quickly knock down a 2-3 tower, or at least try to. Call down is going to be dropped with Blow Your Brain also jumping in. BZZ going to get dropped pretty low. He think he will die to the Silencer. Yes, he will. Gyrocopter going to snag that one, but G, now in the tower range, he's going to die for Unstable. He's going to get walled, stunned off by something. He can't finish out the Silencer. No, he just will be barely able to, but Puck is also going to be a casualty there. Tron is doing so much damage, and Blow Your Brain, Anchor Smash, swinging these fights, and VP overextends just a little bit too much. They almost take down a tier 3 tower, but that's not really relevant. Moscow 5, they salvage the situation, giving up a Silencer for 3. Very much so worth it, as VP just a little bit too overeager to push high ground with the Lycanthrope. They did not have enough gas in the tank. Maybe if they had the Witch Doctor there for Voodoo Restoration, they could have done it, but clearly that was not to be the case.
Yeah, it's going to be, after those two fights, I think pretty much a null trade. It's a pretty good win for Virtus Pro, and then a good win for Moscow 5. 3,000 gold now sitting on the Gyrocopter, even after he bought back, is going to mean that his next item's coming out pretty soon. Virtus Pro, their Lycanthrope is still sitting on quite a large lump sum of gold on top of that, but the status quo has pretty much been maintained after those two fights. High ground still isn't breached. Tier 1 tower up in top is the only tower on Virtus Pro's sides to fall, which isn't necessarily surprising because of the lack of straight-up pushing power coming out from Moscow 5, but they still have those towers to take out. Both teams are now reserved to farm up their own side of the map, their jungle, their ancients, what have you.
Man, someone is turning on some more heavy machinery in the background. I have no idea what's going on outside because I'm controlling the camera, but I hope no one can actually hear any of that. Looking at OBS, it might be slightly audible, but yeah, apologies, guys. People are doing construction or something. I have no idea, but either way, let's hope that's going to stop soon. Roshan is once again back up, but even though VP with the Lycanthrope would love to jump into that Roshan pit, claim another Aegis, they're going to be fighting into Moscow 5 with all their ultimates, and that is just a death wish if VP actually go into that Roshan pit.
Yeah, it really is. Although if they sneak it, it's going to be pretty fast and secure. If Moscow 5 are in position, it's very dangerous, so they probably won't decide to do that until they get a pick-off or two, especially on one of those key teamfight targets. Silencer, probably one of the more important ones and easier ones to pick off if he's caught out of position. But currently backed up by Blow Your Brain. Everybody else is away, and actually they're going to be able to walk into the Roche pit. Gyrocopter, Earthshaker top, Silencer, Tidehunter, Skarath Mage in mid, and that's probably going to be it. I don't think there's really much that they can do at this point, even though if they combo all of their spells, they can take it fast. It's not as fast as Virtus Pro can take out that Roche, and it's going to be a second life now for G.
Coil's going to be dropped onto top. Tron instantly going to teleport out. Vigas, maybe not as lucky, however. He has a soul booster. Rather tanky Scythe, though, will put a stop to all of that. That is a level 3 ultimate from the Necrophos. Popping the BKB for that. Very much so worth it since they don't lose a tower in the end. Plus, they get Earthshaker down for another 80. He does not have buyback either. Just spent a lot of money into the soul booster, which, I mean, we thought it was going to be an Aghanim Scepter. You think usually it's going to be a nice assumption, but no, he's going to go for just raw health, and we can see how well that worked out for him. Not very well at all. VP, they're going to reassemble over in the mid lane. And M5, they do not have their global silence right now. They have a Ravage. They will have a call down shortly, but this is going to be a concerning fight for them because G, right onto the front lines, has an Aegis, so he doesn't give a damn if he gets hit with anything right now. He's going to draw out the call down, actually. Actually a pretty nice win for Virtus Pro, and if they keep going for this one, I think they should. They might be able to bring down this tower before Moscow 5 could actually make a convincing defense.
Yeah. Right now, Earthshaker, that Soul Booster pickup, I really don't like it. I probably would have liked even a Scotty better. He also doesn't disassemble his Arcane Boots, which is 1,000 gold that isn't really necessary to spend on that item. But for now, it is Moscow 5 holding 30 seconds, no Earthshaker, Atos slow, onto Unstable is going to do almost nothing. The creep clear coming out from both sides is pretty solid, and no creeps have actually made it into the base. The rocket spam is going to be annoying, but some heals going in for Necrophos will sustain through that, and they'll probably be able to destroy it anyway. It's a stalemate, and when the stalemate ends, they're going to have Earthshaker up. Unfortunately, no Global Silence for 40 seconds, so they won't have their full team fight combination, but yeah, it's still looking pretty good for them. Call down onto the ground, going to eat through the majority of the creep wave, but the Necro army is still there, and the tier 3 tower is going to fall. Tron is going to pop his BKB, trying to man fight up against G. They're going to drop a Ravage, but very few heroes are actually affected as BKBs from BCZ as well as G. Here's the Earthshaker, Echo Slam, Message G, Yol, as well as the Puck. No effect onto BCZ as he is BKB'd up. Arcane Bolts are going to fly, lands on the Ogre. That's the Aegis down on the Lycan, but they do get the range barracks. Now outside the base, the fight is going to continue as the Skywrath Mage is brought down fairly easily by the Necrophos and the Puck. Vigos is still standing for his team, but the melee barracks might not be so lucky as now Lycanthrope is inside their base, and he'll be able to chew through that in very short amount of time.
And they also waste Fortification, just add insult to injury. The difference between Moscow 5 taking a fight with and without Global Silence is night and day. If they had a Global Silence there, things could have gone so differently. At the very least, stopping the Necrophos from laying the Scythe down into the Tidehunter, killing him off again, and also delaying all of that healing from the same hero. But instead, Virtus Pro, they just bulldozed their way in at probably the worst time as well. Like, they had so much time in order to go in there. They waited until the Earthshaker was back up to actually fully commit, and ordinarily would be pretty disastrous for them. But they got initiation off with the coil, and everything worked out just fine. Now they're looking for a top where Tron doesn't have a TP out of there. He's going to jump in, get sheeped by Seedoy. Fresh sheep stick there. The Wolf is already in the main form. Scythe is available, but don't really want to use it into that BKB. G is just going to chase the Gyrocopter down. Scythe will be used and will get the kill in the end. Gyrocopter down for 130 seconds. Going to bug out the game a little bit, and he has no buyback golds, and that's an Aghanim Scepter Scythe. He couldn't buy back even if he wanted to. VP, maybe they're going to do the exact same thing that they just did, except on top lane. The Puck is a little bit low, but he will find himself a refilled bottle, and as soon as Ogre Magi gets back up here, Moscow 5, they are once again without their Global Silence, but they're also without their Echo Slam. They're also without their Ravage. This is going to be an even easier push for Virtus Pro.
Yeah, they'll have their Echo Slam by the time they get to the front door, and a good Echo Slam definitely could turn it, but with no Gyrocopter follow-up, I just don't think it's going to happen. Right now, it's so hard for Moscow 5 to hold this second lane. Necrobook's on the ground, Wolves on the ground, tier 3 tower is gone, and now they're going to eat into the range barracks first. They're splitting their focus a little bit as Puck focuses the melee, but they'll be able to get both of them. It doesn't even matter. There's not even going to be a contest coming out from Moscow 5. They respect the fact that they can't take this.
And now, because VP took that so easily, I think they're just going to slide down to the bottom lane, and we'll try to pseudo backdoor that one. It's going to be GG called. Moscow 5, they look so good. They actually have a kill advantage in this game, but just the pushing power and the explosiveness of Virtus Pro, taking a couple good fights, finding Moscow 5 without their ultimates, is going to win them the game. And this is going to be game one, going the way of Virtus Pro. So I said that they were favored, and well, we could see a little bit why. We'll see if Moscow 5 can bring it back in game number 2, which is going to be coming up very shortly, guys, so don't go anywhere. There's still another game between these two teams coming very shortly.